Hi, my little angels. Come on in. Come in. I'm so happy to see everyone today. Come, come, come. There's lots of seats around me today. I'm working on the library today, which is good because we're all here for the ASMR book club. Does everyone have their copies? It's all right. I have a few extra. They're right there piled on the table. Help yourselves. Okay. So we do have the hammocks set up if you'd like to sit in those. They'll fit 3 comfortably, 4 if you're friendly. The rocking chairs over there, that will fit 2 of you. Yeah, that's good. And I did move all the other chairs and I turned the big old comfy couch so that we can all be semicircle. Yeah, that way we can all look at each other when we talk. Awesome. Now, I did do some refreshments for us today. So as you can see, I have a whole bunch of water bottles set up. It's easier to drink out of those while we're talking about the book than an open glass. So help yourselves to those. And on the chilled beverage station over there, we have some sparkling soda, all different flavors. We have sugar-free, we have vegan, there's no lactose in any of them, I checked. So help yourselves, there's all different flavors, everything you can think of. Cranberry is my favorite, yeah. Okay. And then on the hot beverage station, I've set up coffee station. So we have regular, decaf, and espresso. I have all the lighteners, everything from lactose-free, dairy-free, vegan, full fat, cream, you name it, it's all there, as well as the sweeteners. I have everybody covered. We have the Splenda, the agave, honey, maple syrup, brown sugar, white sugar, raw sugar. Yeah, I think that's everything. Okay, so everybody can help themselves. Anybody else having problems with their hair in this humidity? It's winter, we're not supposed to have humidity, but we do. Okay, and I see we have some new little angels, some new members of our book club. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. What's that, hon? You haven't read the book? That's okay. That's okay. This review is going to give a lot of spoilers. So it'll let you know if you want to read the book, okay? Awesome. And okay, I do see we have quite a few. Okay, great. I love the new readers, new little angels. Come in. Please give this a thumbs up. You can share it. We have sharing is caring, and we want lots and lots of ASMR book club members. Okay, pardon me, sweetie. How does the book club work? Okay, the book club works, you read the book. At the end of the month, we post our reviews if you have a channel. If you don't have a channel, that's okay. I still want to know what you think, okay? So what I want you to do is put your review in the comments of someone's review. That's all. That way we can all participate, because I love to watch all of you interact with each other. I love interacting with you. I love to know what you think, what you feel, your ideas, your questions, your perspectives. I love all of it. And when we connect like that, we take this great big world and go and make it smaller. And that's a good thing. That's a very, very good thing. And hello, my returning little angels and all my book club members. Come in, come in. You have your books? Awesome. That's great. Oh yeah, you can bring e-readers, anything, audio, everything. Books are books. I don't care what anyone says. Great. Everybody come on in. Awesome. Please, everybody, keep your comments coming, and everybody make sure you're subscribed. Thank you. Okay, so before we begin with the book and the book review, I wanted to show you some items I have in my book bag. First of all, I have this amazing bookmark. A bookmark's a bookmark. Auntie Angel, what are you talking about? No, this is a special bookmark because you can write in this bookmark all the books you've read. You can do it for your year. This is our ASMR book club because we haven't been doing it that long. So the books we've read so far: Mind Games, The Women, The Tattooist of Auschwitz, The 13th Gift, The Lost Bookshop, The Memory Library, which is the book we're going to be reviewing today. And next month is The Orange Girl, and that was chosen by our dear friend Jet, who's in Time ASMR, and I'm going to link her below, because to choose next month's book, to choose March's book, all you have to do is get in touch with myself, with Jeannie B, with Katie Alice, with Jet, especially Jet. Let Jet know you want to choose the next book, and that's it. At the end of the month, we tell what the new book is, and we go from there. And then that month, you will choose the next person. Awesome. That's great. Okay, so as I said, whatever kind of book you're reading, that's fine. I do remember somebody once, I got into this big argument one time at a parent-teacher night, and another parent said something about graphic novels not being books. And I went, yes, they are. Yes, they are. We are a family of readers. My husband and I read. Our daughter had no interest, even though books were available. If she even looked like she wanted to read a book, I picked it up. I wanted them available when she was ready. We didn't force them on her. We did read to her every night, and she would ask us to. She actually got into reading because of graphic novels. There was a series out, and I cannot remember the name of the lady. Rama Tanagan, I don't know. But she started reading Percy Jackson by Rick Riordan in graphic novel form. She liked it so much, she asked me to pick up the book. Well, we did the same thing with another book. I can't remember the name of it now. She went from there to Harry Potter, okay, reading full books. So graphic novels are an amazing, they are a book. If someone you know reads them, they are a reader. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that. I read The Memory Library on my Kindle. I love my Kindle. So here is, I don't know if you guys can see it, The Memory Library. And it's by Kate Story. What a great name for an author, right? Kate Story. So this book, as someone who's lost their mother, this book touched me in a deep way. It's a mother-daughter relationship, but it's also a perspective book. It's how you see things. Now, the story opens with Ella, who lives in Australia, with her husband Charlie and her daughter Willow. Her mother Sally lives in England. Her mother Sally takes a bad fall, and the neighbor contacts Ella. Now, it's been quite some time, decades, since they've actually really seen each other and been back to England. There's no one to take care of her. She's broken both wrists. She needs someone. So Ella reluctantly takes a month off to go and take care of her mother. When she gets there, she realizes how frail her mother looks. She gets all the medication, interest, like everything. And she starts to meet people in the neighborhood. There is a rift. These two have been estranged for so long, barely civil, Ella to Sally. But when Ella was 8 years old, Sally gave her her own copy of Little Women, and she wrote an inscription to her at the front cover. That became the start of a tradition. Every year on her birthday, she would get a book chosen by Sally that either she wanted to convey a message or reminded her of her, but she always wrote an inscription in the front of why she was giving her that book. You don't know at the beginning what happened. You just know something happened, and Ella is very, very angry with Sally. And Sally is just desperate for a relationship with Ella and Willow and Charlie, who she really only knows via FaceTime and Skype. When Ella gets there, she's helping her mother, and she notices a little bit of memory issues. But she also had a urinary infection, so she chalked that up. She knows that in older people that can really affect their mental memory parts. As she's helping her mother get dressed and everything, there's a horrible smell in the house. No, it's not a dead body. There had been a flood. That's how the accident happened. Her mother had been running a bath. She slipped as she realized the tub was overflowing, and that's how she broke both her wrists. The water had kept running before anyone was able to hear her yelling for help. It leaked into the downstairs room, which Ella thought was just a junk room. No, it was not. As she opened it, she realized this was the most beautiful room in the house. Now, the house was the nicest house on the block. Her father insisted on it. Her father, who she idolized. Her father was very no-nonsense. Everything was about making money and about your appearance. You have to be the best. You have to appear to be the best. You have to, Her mother was very much open your mind, read for fun, read because you want to learn about the world. You don't always have to be studying. Ella adored her father. She looked up to him like an idol. The house was badly in need of repairs, but that room was completely ruined. But it was the prettiest room in the house. It was her library. It had floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. It had the most beautiful blue velvet chair, very plush, very welcoming, with a matching ottoman. The walls had been painted a beautiful blue with accents of wallpaper. It was one of the prettiest rooms she'd ever seen before this. Now it was just a mess. There was nothing that could be saved. Ella started picking up books and they were falling apart in her hands. She asked Sally about it. Sally goes, "Don't talk about that room. I don't want to talk about that room." The room had been locked, but she had found the key. In the meantime, she met the neighbor. He was a young man, Hadrian. He was renting a room from the people next door. Ella, remember, always looked at appearances. Immediately judged him as, why are you hanging out with this 80-year-old woman, 70-year-old woman? You're after something, you're trying to get her money, of which Ella thought there was quite a bit. Ella then goes around the neighborhood where she grew up, and she finds people that she still remembers that remember her. They all love her mother. But they comment, well, your mom never returned any of our calls. Your mom never, answered our invitations. She missed book club. That's one of the I think her name is Prue. She's very, very much like Ella's father. And she's very much looks down her nose at Sally. And you missed book club. How dare you? We set this up. You're the founder. Blah, blah, blah. So Ella's starting to get a picture. And she's also starting to remember the love of reading for reading's sake. So the book club is doing The Alchemist. So she gets a copy for herself and her mother. And they read in the evenings together. Okay, so the story fans out. Nothing is as Ella thinks it is. Nothing. Ella left home after her father's funeral and basically never returned. Her father died when she was 18. Ella was looking for some papers to write part of the eulogy, and she came across letters from a man to Sally. They were intimate in the way that this is someone who knows you incredibly well. It was a family friend that the father had cut off. Ella put 2 and 2 together and came up with 7. Sally and James were having an affair. That's all this could be. That's what this had to be. How dare she betray her loving father who did everything? And Sally thought, I'll give Ella time. Ella never came back. She moved to Australia. She met Charlie. She had Willow. Everything was a very civil relationship. Very superficial, incredibly. Charlie was the stay-at-home dad. It worked for their family. Ella worked 60 plus hours a week. Willow was often in bed when she got home. While she was discovering things, she found out that Sally had kept up the library for her. Every year on her birthday, a book was at their ruined. But as luck would have it, Sally had taken a picture of the library to show her librarian friend at the local library. While Ella was at the library talking to him, trying to figure out like what books were in the library, they were blowing up the picture to get the titles so that she could try to replace it. She wanted to try to do something nice, right? She was starting to remember how much her and her mother loved each other. While there, she saw Hadrian come in and very suspiciously hang around the food bank box, and she saw him take a can of food. And he looked at her with such fear. When she got home, again, it was misunderstanding after misunderstanding with her mother. She had been looking for the remote for the TV. She ended up going through her mother's purse looking for the prescriptions that the hospital had given her. She found the remote. She also found her mother's phone and realized her mother had not opened any of the messages or any of the... She tried different combinations for a password and figured out the right one. It was Ella's birthday. So then she realized, oh, Mom had the urinary infection. It affected her memory. Obviously, she forgot the password. That's why she didn't return the calls. She was starting to feel a little bit closer. Her mother's Pride and Joy book was a copy of Pride and Prejudice, a first edition that had been given to her by a very good friend. No, by her mother. I'm sorry, by her mother. Nope, it was by the friend. Sorry, guys. It's been a little while. I've already started the Orange Girl. Anyways, Ella tries to replace the copy, which is really very kind of her. But in the meantime, she and her mother have another misunderstanding and an argument, and she throws up about Hadrian. She goes, "You're not a good judge of character. You trusted him, and I saw him steal food from the food box." To which she expected Sally to side with her, and instead Sally said, "That poor boy." At which point, Ella felt ashamed when she realized he was doing it because he was hungry. And Sally had told him, "You come to me if you're hungry, if you need food." He was on his own. His mother had her own difficulties. He was trying to put himself through fashion school. So Ella ended up going to the local market and buying grocery bags of food. And she took it to him. He has pride. He basically told her what she could do with her food. She said, "Please, can I talk to you about my mother? Please." There's also a cat in this story, but I'm not going to tell you about the cat. You have to read because it's really, really cool how the cat comes through the whole novel. It's really interesting. So Ella and Hadrian end up coming to kind of an understanding. And he said when she left, "You forgot your groceries." And she said, "Maybe just this once I could leave them here. And would you like to come for dinner with us at home?" So they kind of reached a little bit of an understanding of each other. She also said, "Would you do me a favor and meet me at the local library tomorrow?" He said, "Fine." When she gets home, she tells her mother what she's done, and her mother says, "Why the library?" And she goes, "Mom, because the librarian whose name escapes me, I'm sorry. I do know his drag name, because Sally gave it to him. It was Bridget Bard. Oh. But he knows everything about what kind of programs are available that can help people." So Hadrian does go and meet with him. He ends up helping Hadrian get a weekly stipend that he's totally entitled to. He ends up getting in touch with Hadrian's mother and the librarian in her area, and they get her set up with all kinds of help. So that turned out very well. in the meantime, Sally and Ella are, reading in the evenings, and Ella works up the nerve to say, Mom, I noticed you had this book in here in my library. Why did you pick that for me? And they would go through the different reasons, which were mostly kind until they got to one particular book. And she said, why did you pick this book for me? And she said, oh, let's not talk about that. And she said, no, Mom, I want to talk about it. And she said, that was when you got that really big promotion at work? She goes, yes. She goes, the book is about not becoming like the person in the book, not only caring what people thought of you, what appearances seem to be, and about making money. Well, of course, Ella got her back up. Couldn't you just be proud of me? I jumped 2 positions there to get that promotion. I work 60 hours a week. She goes, that's right. And your daughter is usually in bed when you get there. She goes, you're missing the important things. Ella storms out of the house. But Ella's not stupid. She thinks, is there any truth? There's a lot of truth to this. Anyways, she contacts a gentleman trying to replace this copy of Pride and Prejudice. He asks her to come and see him. So she does. And he ends up talking with her and gives her the exact copy. It's his copy. She says, I can't accept this. He goes, I want you to give it to your mother. Okay, off she goes back on the... So when she gets home, something happens, which you have to read about, but they end up having it out. And she yells at her mother, I'm trying to make amends with you. I'm trying to find it, but I can't get through my head what you did to Dad. How awful you were to Dad. And look at this house. It's in such disrepair. You've obviously squandered the money that he left you. Well, there were some home truths coming now. She ends up locking herself in a room. Sally insists they talk. Insists. And she says, it's time you learn some facts. First of all, your father died deeply indebted. Deeply indebted. He could not maintain the lifestyle that we had. He belonged to many private clubs that I knew nothing about, and he traveled first class on trips that I knew nothing about. I thought he was traveling for work, and I certainly didn't know they were first class. They weren't alone either. That's right. This man she idolized was having affairs left, right, and center. And she said, James, a close family friend, is the one who told me about the first affair. That's why your father cut him off. James was my only sanctuary. We wrote to each other as friends. There was never anything more. Yes, James was in love with me. And in another lifetime, I could have been in love with him, but I never acted on that. But James understood what I was going through with your father. I never wanted to affect how you saw your father. She took out a wad of the letters. She said, after you left, I never wrote back to James again. He continued writing to me for another 10 years. But I never responded. And that had been, another 10 years later. She said, but here are the letters that I wrote him, and you can see I'm telling you the truth. She goes, I just never mailed them. But it was the only way I could get my feelings out. Talk about shame. Ella was beside herself. She had to find a way to make amends, if at all. She also was telling Charlie, and Charlie was being such a doll. He was reading whatever books they were reading so that they could all have a discussion about it. And she was realizing that she was missing out on her daughter's life. So, Ella really started to think. And she asked for an extra 2 weeks because now she realized medically there was something wrong with Sally. Yes, there was. Sally is going through early dementia. And that's why she forgot about the tub, and that's why she forgot about book club. And Sally was so beloved by everyone that Ella figured out what to do. Ella went to everyone and asked them, would they please buy a book, new or secondhand. Ella and Sally loved to go to the secondhand bookstore, and write an inscription why they chose it for Sally. She wanted to redo the library. She hired contractors to come in and fix up the library. Of course, Ella found out that Sally had stopped opening mail because she forgot, and the insurance had lapsed. But they figured out how they had enough money, and Charlie and Ella chipped in, and they were fixing up that room. And they found a contractor. Sally was a teacher who had been a student, and he was definitely going to help them. So she wanted to rebuild the library and buy as many of the books as possible. But to do the work cheaply, she had to clean out the room herself. Underneath one of the chairs, it had protected the book, for the most part, was the original book, The Little Women. I know, but it's so wonderful. I know. And she read her mother's inscription. And one second, guys. Sorry about that. I was going to sneeze. God, I love my pause button. So, where were we? Okay. So she showed it to her mother, and her mother was so happy. Now, her mother has no idea the room is being restored back to its original beauty. Ella keeps telling her, don't go in there. It's a mess. It'll just hurt your feelings to see your beautiful room like this. She's like, okay. The smell was gone. The humidifiers had worked, or dehumidifiers, whichever. They told her that Brigitte Bardot was having a show, and Sally goes, all right, I'll come. And all of the friends were there, including Prue, who told Ella in no uncertain circumstances that Sally was a privileged lady who, she looked down on her nose at people who never had to work a day in their life for anything. Well, when Prue found out what was going on, about the dementia, about her managing everything on her own, she came around and she chose books. It turned out to be this is your life, this is your library, Sally. It was a private party. Everyone came up and told her what books they donated to her library. When they got home, she saw her beautiful library restored. She was so happy, so happy. But Ella was afraid what was going to happen in the future. Yes, the neighborhood would take care of Sally for her, but she would need full-time care eventually. And she broached the topic with Charlie. They broached the topic with Willow. It was decided. They moved back to England. But for Willow's 8th birthday, Ella gave her a copy of Little Women and wrote the inscription, and they read it together. So in the end, that they have hard times coming. But what a wonderful story. I hope you guys enjoyed me telling. I'm sorry I read it, but please, 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 please read it. Oh, I left out the best part, for me anyways. The reason the professor that she went to see had a copy of Pride and Prejudice, that's right, it was James. That's right. And Ella returned to James with the book and said, if you want my mother to have this book, you need to give it to her yourself. And here are the letters that she wrote to you. He turned it back on her. He said, if your mother wants me to read these, she's going to have to give them to me. So he went to meet her, and they started back up their friendship. Okay, I'm a softie. I love those kind of things. So guys, that is The Memory Library by Kate Story. I hope you read it. And our next book, I want to show you a couple things I have. Here is The Reader bookmark. I ended up getting these from an Etsy shop. a while ago, and it came in a pack of 3, and I gave one to myself, one to a dear friend, and one to my daughter. Now, this is the book that Jet chose for us, The Orange Girl by Justine Garter. And it is wonderful. I'm reading it, and you will absolutely, absolutely love this story. I am partway through it, but I absolutely love it. Now, I want to show you something else. And I found this at, actually I found this at a secondhand bookstore, but they had a whole bunch of them. But I know you can get them on Amazon. I think you can even get them on Temu. I don't know if the dollar store has them, but this is so great. And this is for us, guys. I was so excited because my immediate thought was you guys, because you clip it on a book. Of course, you clip it on a book this way, right? And then it's a reading light, but I like this kind of a light because I can move it, you know, even on my Kindle. What I love about this is when I do my reading to you stories. I've been having a hard time with reading lately if I don't have really good lighting. And when I read to you guys at night, I want it to be dim, like even dimmer than this. And I want my Aurora Borealis, my Northern Lights light going. So this I can clip on the book and read to you, and it's not going to really affect the ambiance that you all see. And I want that for you so badly. So that's one thing. And I hope you enjoyed this meeting of the ASMR Book Club. I hope you have all decided to become members. You don't have to do it every single month. You don't even have to comment on the book, okay? But please do give love, and do watch the others that do reviews. I will be sharing those in my community tab. So thank you all so very much. And remember, I love you, I value you, I honor you, I pray for you, and I am so very, very glad that each and every one of you was born.